And for those of you that support me over on this Patreon channel, thank you so very much. If you're interested in subscribing to the channel, you can go to patreon.com and subscribe. Look up Angle Guys, choose a subscription level over there. Over there, you get the daily forecast a day early and other special readings that are available only over there through monthly subscription. So depending on the level of subscription that you choose. So I say this with every reading, but this is the broad spectrum reading for the sign of Sagittarius for February of 2021. It is for those with sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Sagittarius. It's to give you a little insight into what type of a February you may have. These are broad spectrum readings intended for a lot of different people. So if you have, if you connect to the reading, great, but if you don't, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong, right? If things don't sort of add up or don't make sense in your life, it could be the placement of the houses. It could be that other planetary influences are having a greater effect on you. There's a lot of different factors that could attribute to that. So don't be upset if it doesn't fit. Now, if it does fit, you should know that anything in your life, after having watched any of my videos, those decisions are 100% your responsibility. Always use your own highest intelligence and intuition when making those decisions, and never take anything that I say over that of a professional in their field, like a doctor, lawyer, or therapist. Always listen to them first and foremost. Just make wise decisions. All right, so let's get into this and see what we've got going on for the sign of Sag for February 2021. So the first card is going to be sort of the guide card for the month. This is coming from the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which is by Colette Baron Reed. Oh, we've got the Crow. I love it. Crow to me represents law, and I love that it's got this light or this sort of moon. It's kind of like a yellow moon in a weird way to me. So it's sort of it gives me a little bit of sun. It gives me a little bit of moon energy. Just the yellowness of it doesn't necessarily make me feel that it's a moon. A moon to me would be more white, but it does have that otherworldly feel. So it could be sort of the subconscious to me. The Crow is all about knowing sort of the law of not only the physical realm, but also that of the spirit world, and maybe being able to transfer or move between the two realms. So I don't know why I chose this deck for fire. I felt compelled to grab this deck for fire, and I feel like it's giving me really weird images for all three of the fire sign readings. This is the last one. Leo and Aries was really weird too. Aries had a really weird guide card. But to me, I feel like this is, I love crows personally. I think that they're really intelligent animals. There's an intelligence and an internal sort of smarts that they have that we might want to rely on this month. We might want to listen to sort of our internal sort of voices. That would be this kind of light or this moon behind us. Allowing that to be our guide to sort of see things from maybe a different perspective or from a more spiritually connected perspective, taking a bird's eye view, that kind of a thing. I believe the story of Crow is he can sort of bend the laws of both the physical and the spiritual world. And so maybe that might be something that my Sagittarians might be doing this month in February, is sort of looking for ways of bending the laws to make things sort of work in their favor. So let's see what's going on in the tarot. It's also interesting as I look at this crow, I'm getting this sort of idea. He's sort of looking over his shoulder in a weird way. I'm wondering if Sagittarius is going to be visiting the past in some way, shape, or form, so that they can maybe see towards the future. Like they might have to revisit their past before they can move towards the future. It's another sort of message that I'm getting as I'm looking at the picture of this crow. All right, this first card is the center. It tells me where the Sagittarians are going to be centered at this month. It gives me insight kind of in sort of what sort of a month you might be having or what you might be working on, but also what you could be creating for the future. So let's see. So we have the Emperor. Good card, major arcana. I like it. Very powerful. Emperor is Aries energy, which to me, that's, no harm, no foul. It's in your wheelhouse of the fire element, right? So it's represented by the sign of Aries. The Emperor always has really high standards. And it's interesting because the Emperor would be associated with law, which would be crow energy too, right? So there is this idea that we might be doing what's appropriate, what's right, or needing others to do what's right and appropriate for us. There could be demands that we're making on others or that we're expecting from ourselves this month. The Emperor to me is always benevolent. He's kind. He can be like the father figure. So we might be finding ourselves stepping into that role. But we also have there's a level of discernment and expectation that comes with the Emperor that's rather high. So if we're placing those expectations on, say, ourselves or our life, areas of our life where we expect people to rise up to our standards, I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I'll have to see the cards, but be aware that our expectations may be high in February of ourselves or of those around us, of situations around us. The thing with the Emperor is we don't want to cut corners ever. He's like intelligent. He's smart. We need to pay attention to the details. We need to watch other people and their behaviors, what they present to us. Is it legit like what they say it is? It's that kind of an energy, right? We deserve more. The Emperor knows what he deserves. He's kind of the culmination of all the four kings, right? So he's done all the work. He's learned all the lessons. He's sort of is smart about it. So I like that we're in this place of what I would consider to be power, right? With the Emperor as our center and the crow as our guide, or as maybe, a theme for this month. There's something around law, the right thing, doing the right things for the right reasons. Maybe some of us need to go back into the past and fix something that we've left undone that we're not okay with, and that this Emperor energy is requesting that we fix so that we can feel right. There could be some of that energy for some of the Sages too. So let's see what the other cards are, and I might be able to better determine this. It could be a multitude of things for different, Sages, right? Or where your placements are. But I do feel as though it has something to do with kind of living up to the fullest potential, either your own or having somebody live up to their fullest potential and the expectation that comes with that, okay? The next card is the Foundation card. This tells me a little bit about what was going on in the past that opened the door for everything to be the way that it is today. It also is the memory of this card that can sometimes be driving the cards in the now or holding the cards in place, and moving it into the future. So this is the Knight of Cups. I love that he's on this turtle. Okay, so this to me looks like Knight of Cups usually is sort of like, can be a romantic card. Cups would definitely be water in the emotions. It's interesting to me. This kind of looks like maybe, oh shit. Okay, so let me see here. I feel like maybe my Sages had in the past some really honest intentioned ideals about what they wanted to do, and maybe they weren't able to get those things accomplished. I feel like some of you, this could be surrounding sort of romance or opening up a new friendship, a new relationship, something to that effect. Being open and available, being of service, being ready for something, moving slowly towards it. That's sort of the turtle, that this cat's on that turtle's back. There might have been a slow move towards it, or things might have moved slowly in this area, right? But it feels to me like the Sages may have put their best foot forward, or attempted to put their best foot forward, and now they can no longer do that. That's sort of the restriction of the Emperor. I don't feel like that openness that the Knight of Cups has is still available to them, right? For whatever reason. And I also feel like the Knight of Cups might have not been an area where they feel so safe, right? Where it might have felt like emotionally vulnerable. If you found yourself in the past being sort of emotionally vulnerable to, say, another individual, or friendships, whatever it might be, to me, the Knight of Cups is sort of offering himself over. And I think maybe there's a slight reluctance. That's the tortoise that we see that the cat is riding on. I feel like there might have been a slight reluctance to do that, or or you weren't able to see it all the way through. It almost feels like when I look at this card, this feels like it is the Knight of Cups, but it feels like the Knight of Pentacles in some ways because of that tortoise. So when I look at the Emperor up above, I don't know if either if you're able to make yourself available anymore in that way, if that makes sense. So let's go to the Spirit or Soul card and see what the Spirit or Soul wants. So it wants you to reflect on the Magician. The Magician is Major Arcana. So you have really, I think, really powerful positive cards running through the center of your spread, Sagittarius. The Magician is all about creative energy. It is, I believe, associated with the sign of Aquarius. It's about expansion. We are in Aquarius season and will be in the first half of February. So that Aquarian expansive sort of greater collective energy that Aquarians love, to that sociability, all of that Aquarians love, will really work in your favor. I feel like the Magician being up in the spirit space says to me that my Sagittariuses need to realize that they can create whatever it is that they want, that they can almost like sort of not demand it, but the expectation is high with the Emperor, right? The Magician gives us that sort of magic to create whatever it is we want. This foundation of this Knight of Cups actually feels like if there was something that you loved that you couldn't be a part of, right? And like whatever that thing is that you love, Sagittarius, and this could be a multitude of things for a bunch of different Sages. February might be the month to be able to allow yourself to maybe go about trying to find ways to create that, is the best way that I see it. Because that Knight of Cups, even though that's from the past, where maybe you move slowly towards something that you cared about, because the cups would be about emotions and caring. The Knight, it can be an offering of love in a way. And so I think that it was like maybe we move towards, and I'm using this as an example, let's say we move towards a new career choice or a new job, or we aspired to something and we weren't able to move very quickly. We move slowly. That's the slowness of that tortoise. And that tortoise is really pulling my attention in that card. So there was a reluctance. Maybe you held off. Now might be the time to revisit that. The only reason why I say that is the Emperor has the strength and the ability to take action in that element of Aries, and discerning action, like for the proper reasons, doing the right things for the right reasons. The Magician up in the spirit space speaks to the idea of like taking our spiritual creativity, the power of our spirit, and making it manifest or making it work for us, starting to create steps towards getting there. It's grounded in the action of the Emperor, right? And then in the emotions of the Knight of Cups. So these three cards together make me think, what is it that you want, Sagittarius? What is it that you desire? What is it that you in the past wanted to move towards and maybe attempted to and then didn't, or slowed the process? Now the Emperor is sitting there and I think he's looking at it, discerning whether or not he can have it or wants it. It's interesting too, because the Emperor's card number 4 in the deck, and we also have a 4 here. 4s represent stability or bringing things about in a stable manner. And that Knight of Cups also feels very sort of stable to me on that tortoise. It's like a slow move, a slow progression towards whatever it is that you want. But I feel like if we get up into that higher self and that energy of the Magician, we can move a little bit more quickly. We can be a little bit more creative. We can be a little bit more productive if we haven't been feeling quite so productive, or we've been feeling obligated to other things through that Emperor card. Ultimately, you will do the right things for the right reasons, no matter what that will be. That's kind of what the Emperor indicates. But I think that there's a lot of options here in February for you guys to get creative and move towards whatever brings you hopefully happiness, right? I don't feel like the Emperor is the most warm and fuzzy card, right? And that's sort of interesting to me, because I get that you might have been a little bit more warm and fuzzy in that when you were in the past, when you were in that Knight of Cups space. But there's certain things that need to be upheld through the Emperor, is the kind of the feeling that I'm getting certain expectations maybe of others or in our life where we haven't necessarily always felt like we could move forward. So we maybe had to put that on hold. The Magician feels like it's here to help us. Like if that means talking to our higher self, communing with our higher self, figuring out what the laws are and listening to the other side and then breaking them in some way, but breaking them in a way that appeases the emperor, that appeases your sensibilities, that it's weird. Like the fours to me feel like also the four that we have here and the four that we have in the emperor speak to like this sort of stability, like doing it in a sort of stable, structured kind of way is going to make it maybe feel safer or something. I'm not exactly sure how that fits. You'll have to apply that where it fits in your life. But you have all of the resources. That's the other thing too I want to say here, because the emperor has access to resources and so does the magician. He has all the four elements at work up in that spirit space. So there's a lot of power behind whatever Sag puts their minds to this month. So keep that in mind. And also the Knight of Cups feels like that sort of emotive love or desire that you had in the past could still be driving you, albeit slowly, in the now, right? The recollection of that, wherever that lies for you, whatever that, heartfelt feeling or yearning is for, wherever it was, it's kind of still in there, kind of pushing this forward. Does that make sense? So the next two cards are the outside influences. These are things that are influencing you either positively or negatively in the month of February. They can be things like people and events, or things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us. So we've got the Seven of Wands. Fire energy, so in line with who you are, but definitely challenging. The Seven of Wands feels like being poked, prodded, feeling potentially judged, challenged in some way. There could be fighting going on around you, or you could be involved in some fights. I will say this, the Emperor's in charge though, and he is, Aries energy. So he is fire. He knows how to argue. He knows how to get in there and take care of himself, but it still doesn't feel any less annoying. Does that make any sense? So if we find ourselves being challenged by things, and this could be some of that crow energy too, as far as like looking at what we're dealing with, what we're fighting against, what we're challenged by, and how can we get around that? How can we manipulate the rules? But I say manipulating the rules because of the crow energy, but the Emperor will do things by the book. So there's this fine line that I feel like is here. And then I think the Magician is kind of what meets in the middle in this energy for my Sages, where yes, you can use sort of the wisdom of the crow and kind of go back and forth between, say, the realm of spirit or your higher knowledge, which is up there with the Magician, and get that information so that you can then take the practicality and the discernment of the Emperor to make your steps through whatever struggles you may experience in February, right? To me, the Seven of Wands does not feel super detrimental. It just feels challenged. Actually, it feels like it's annoying the Emperor more than anything. Like, to me, it feels like the Emperor is like, oh shit, this again kind of thing. And so it's almost more of a nuisance than anything. So don't lose your shit, Sag, in the sense that I love what the clarity of these three cards as sort of your past looks relatively good, being the Knight of Cups, your present as the Emperor looks great, and your higher self as the Magician is bang on good. So don't let the superfluous, like, bullshit stuff of day-to-day life get to you. That Seven of Wands could be something as simple as, like, internet trolls or political posts on Facebook. It could be, those things could just get under your skin and challenge you and steer you away from what's important, right? It could be something as benign or as, normal as that, right? But we just need to be aware that those things are weighing on us, that they are affecting us, that they are challenging us in some way, shape, or form. And they may trigger us because it is a Wand's energy, right? It's that fire. So Sag may want to react to that. But Sag is the mutable sign of the three fire signs. So you guys do have more of a flexibility, right? And you might be able to sort of steer clear of it if you can. Being aware of it now. So let's see what the other one is. Okay, and then the other one is Three of Wands. I love it. You're surrounded by wands. You guys are like, your pussy's on fire, Sag. All right, so Three of Wands is all about expectation to me. There's opportunities this month, not only to be challenged through that Seven of Wands, but there's also opportunities to dream. There's opportunities, and I don't mean dream in the sense like it's not possible. I mean, like, when I look at that cat, he's got his eyes out to the horizon, sort of in expectation, waiting for something to come in. I think the key here is that my Sages need to actually create whatever it is that they want to come in. That Three of Wands wants to help us bring it in, right? And we have that Magician up in the spirit space, which would indicate that February would be a prime month for creating the things that we want from our higher desire, from our higher spiritual awareness, right? I also love that we have the Knight of Cups, which would be an extremely solid emotional card based in love as sort of the driving force. Even though this is something that comes from our past, it's still around us. It's still that desire, or that, you know, I mean, we look at that white cat on that tortoise, he is pure in its desire. So to me, this speaks to the idea that maybe Sag, if they connect to that emotion, they can channel that through the intelligence and the strength of the Emperor, coupled with the creativity and the magic of the Magician. And that Three of Wands really opens up the doors for like the universe or outside influences to come in and help us to bring in the next reward or the next goal. We can look at it that way, or we can get caught up in the Seven of Wands, which would be like infighting, arguments, and a whole bunch of sort of nuisancey energy, right? I almost see it's kind of like one or the other, right? The Seven of Wands is just sort of day-to-day life shit, is the feeling that I get, or stuff that we've dealt with over and over again that we're kind of tired of dealing with and we want to move away from. That's also some of the Three of Wands energy. Is like, what do we want in place of this, or what do we want? What do we like? The Emperor will have expectations. He will have very high expectations of what it is that he wants. And the Magician is willing to create it, and the Knight of Cups certainly desires it, or feels the emotion around it. So it's like, my question to the Sages is February your month that you're going to actually get around to creating it? That's kind of my feeling. All right, so the next card is the potential outcomes card for the month. This tells me where most of the Sages will end up, barring that nothing major changes. This card is potential in the sense that we do have free will, and if this card is a negative card, we can use our free will to make choices and changes and use this card as a warning to affect the outcome. So it's not set in stone. But if it's something that's good, it could mean that we're naturally heading towards this. And so we can take heart in the fact, and we don't have to really do much, just keep on the path and do what we're doing. So we have the Eight of Cups. So Eight of Cups is like moving away from a situation, certainly emotionally. Eights bring about balance. When we look at this cat, he's like kind of walking out of the door. I always kind of look at the Eight of Cups as sort of like, it's been a forlorn experience. Maybe it's caused us some pain or some sadness, but we've really come to the realization that, yeah, indeed, this is no longer working for us. This is not what we need. I kind of feel like there could be a transition happening for my Sagittarians, only because that Magician feels very creative. That Three of Wands feels very much based in expectation. The Crow feels very much like he's looking to the past to figure out how to fly to the light of this moon, or to this future that we see in front of him. He's looking over his shoulder. There might be something, that past could be the Seven of Wands. It's something that's not working out for us, maybe hasn't been for a while. And so it's maybe time to sort of move onward. By month's end, the Eight of Cups would indicate that maybe my Sages are finally in tune with that. Maybe whatever it is that we move so slowly towards in the past, or what we sort of maybe geared our sights towards through that Knight of Cups, we're maybe more committed now by the end of February to actually move forward. That Emperor sitting in the center, you could be holding tight in a space where you're just trying to do the right thing for the right reasons, Sag. That Magician doesn't want that, though. I feel like the Magician wants you to create your way out of it, if that makes any sense at all. And so in an effort to kind of try and do the right thing, you're sort of holding yourself to a high expectation with this Emperor card in the center. I'm not sure. The Eight of Cups would indicate that maybe a time for change, or being emotionally okay with the changes that need to take place. happen by month's end where you're actually ready to move forward now towards what it is that you do want versus what it is that you don't. Does that make sense? And so the Emperor and the Magician have a lot of strength. They're both major arcana. The Three of Wands is that expectation. So that says to me that we should expect more in February, but will we actually receive it? And the reason why I say will we actually receive it is that Eight of Cups makes me feel like we may have to wait until March before we actually get it or start to see it, because we have to be emotionally sort of ready to depart from whatever it is we have been receiving that we don't necessarily feel in alignment to anymore. That's the Seven of Wands. So that is your forecast for February, Sagittarius. I hope that makes sense. Whatever is going on, you should be empowered this month. You should feel stable. You should be open to opportunities. They're out there for you, but you may have to do some work and make some changes emotionally and take some risks a little bit. There's some risks I feel like there's a little bit of a risk in the Knight of Cups, and I feel like there's a little bit of a risk in that Magician card. Like, if we create it, we have to be responsible for it. That's the feeling that I get from these cards. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit the thumbs up button if you're watching this video and you enjoyed it. Leave any questions or comments if you'd like. I'm always available for private readings. You can message me at the Facebook business page. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my videos, and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I do other live videos. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month, all right? And keep an eye out for the full moon in Leo. Pick a card that will be going up in the next day or two. And tomorrow will be the Earth signs. All right, you guys, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.